Hi everybody, it's me, Gemma, and I'm back. I haven't made a video in like a month or so. Things have been really busy. We had our living room decorated, we had a leak in the bath, we were having to get the kitchen ceiling repaired. Our dog has a cruciatus ligament injury and we're having to get him surgery. There has been so much going on. My books have all been packed away and I have just not had the mental capacity to either read a full book or make a video, to be quite honest. And I have also not really been watching booktube. I have mainly been watching The Untamed and fan videos of The Untamed and reading fan fiction of The Untamed, by which I mean to say that I think everyone should watch The Untamed. But what I'm going to do now is I have my books back. They were in storage while we were decorating the living room. As you can see from the wall behind me, we went for that lovely navy blue. I have my cart here already built. My husband built it for me, and this is one of the IKEA Raskog carts. So I got this mainly for books that I have recently bought, not read, and don't yet have a place on the shelf. So when books come into my collection, they'll go in here until they're read, and then if they are, you know, good and I like them, I'm going to continue series, I will move them into the bookshelf. So on top, of course, I have to go for something aesthetic. So I have this candle. It's by Botanica, Airwick, and it's Caribbean vetiver and sandalwood. It's so nice. It's quite a kind of wintry, masculine scent. I really like it, and it goes really nicely on here. And I'm also going to be putting my little Fitonia on here. She needs a water, I think, but we'll give her a water today. Now, I have had this for 3 months. It's the longest I've ever managed to keep a plant alive, so she goes on the TBR cart in a sort of pride of place. And the lipstick that I'm wearing today, which today is the MAC and Saya Viva Glam. Yeah, Viva Glam matte lipstick. I love this. It's such a nice shade of red, so I'm wearing that today. So I'm going to go through the books that are going into the TBR cart and hopefully give you some idea of what my reading plans are for the next couple of months. I've already met my Goodreads goal of 150 books this year, so I'm not worried about the amount or anything that I'm reading. I'm just kind of solely going for what I think's fun. So I'm going to start off with the books that are going in the bottom. So first of all, we have Seven Blades in Black by Sam Sykes, and this is apparently a sapphic revenge story set in sort of a fantastical universe. I know there's been some chat about Sam Sykes and some dodgy things that he's done. To be honest, if I had not already bought this book, I probably wouldn't, but I'm not going to waste it. I'll read it, I'll see how it is, and if I like it, maybe I'll continue the series, maybe I won't. But it's also a big chunky boy, so going in the bottom. And these are two of the sort of most recent books to come into the collection. The first one being Lovecraft Country by Matt Ruff, and this is set in 50s. Yeah, it's set in 50s America when Black Army veteran, his father goes missing and he is going to look for him. And there is, you know, sort of magic, horror. It looks really good, and it's been made into a show by HBO, I believe. So I thought I would read the book before I watched the show. So this is actually pretty high on the list of things to read. Plus, we're in October now, so spooky horror things are, you know, right up there. And then we have Star Daughter by Shveta Thakkar. And this is about a girl whose mother was a star. She has been living on Earth, but she eventually has to go up into the heavens to go into the sort of star court. It's, I believe it's YA, and she is trying to save her father's life. Yeah, Sheetal Ministry, a rising high school junior who is half star, half human, must win a competition in the starry court to save her human father. So I really liked this. I thought the cover was absolutely stunning, and I just really liked the sound of it. So I am going to be reading that, probably not right away, but it's there. So then we have something that's been on the list for quite a while, and that is Foundryside by Robert Jackson Bennett. And this one apparently has a really cool sort of magic system where things are engraved with glyphs, and there's sort of industrialized magic systems. There's some crime. So I have heard really good things about this from people that I trust and who share similar taste to me. So I have this, and I don't know why I've got it in this. Oh, it's an ex-library copy, that's why it's one of the big floppy hardbacks. So then we're getting into books that are maybe a little bit older, and I should really get around to reading them before buying any more. And one of them is Circe of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. Now, I read An Enchantment of Ravens. I thought it was fine. It didn't set my world on fire or anything like that. So I'm kind of like, maybe. I think it will be a quick read, which is one of the reasons I've kept it. So I can probably read this pretty quick. I do love the cover, I have to say. The cover is gorgeous, and one of the reasons why I sort of picked it up in the first place. So yeah, tell me if you think I should read that one sooner rather than later. If you've read it, let me know what you thought. So moving on, we have a sequel. I read The Bone Season earlier on in the year, and I have the sequel, which is The Mime Order by Samantha Shannon. I really like Samantha Shannon's work. I loved The Priory of the Orange Tree so much. I thought it was probably the best fantasy book I read last year, and I read The Bone Season. I enjoyed it. This is more of a YA dystopian series than a fantasy series, so I'm interested to see where it's going. I'm not going to spoil the plot or anything, but yeah, should be good. And then I have a romance. I have The Governess Game by Tessa Dare, and this is one of her sort of, I believe this is a series, yeah, Girl Meets Duke. And Alexandra Mountbatten takes on an impossible post, transforming a pair of well-oiled orphans into proper young ladies. However, the girls don't need discipline, they need a loving home. So I really like Tessa Dare. Her romances are fun. They are independent heroines without being too anachronistic. I just really like them. I like her heroes. They are stubborn, but they're not asshole heroes, if you know what I mean. I really can't be doing with heroes that are like total dickheads. So I do like Samantha Shannon, and if you like a nice light-hearted romance, you should probably try. I've got some more of those upstairs in a box, which I'm not going to put in the TBR cart yet, but I do have more of her books waiting to be read. So then we have the next two books in a series, which is Defy the Fates and Defy the Worlds by Claudia Gray. Now, I read Defy the Stars last year on the recommendation of Read with Cindy. It is a sci-fi YA with a really sweet romance. It deals a lot with sort of what is human and what is not human. There's a fight between mechs and humans. Yeah, I mean, it's really amazing, and I really love Noemi, who is the main character. She really grows an awful lot during the first book. I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes in the next two. So they are going in the top. And another sequel. Oopsie. Another sequel. Now this is Realm of Ash. It's a companion book to Empire of Sand by Tasha Suri. I loved Empire of Sand. It was an amazing romance. I loved it. It was another sort of Mughal Indian inspired world. I love those. I have been reading quite a lot recently about sort of Indian history pre-partition and pre-British Empire. Really interesting stuff, and I don't think enough of it gets taught in schools. Like, I understand most schools are going to teach World War II because that's what they do, but I personally would have found it so interesting to cover like the Great Khans or the Han Dynasty, or, you know, other things like that. But, you know, that's just me. So Realm of Ash actually covers the sister of the main character from the first book. So looking forward to that. She writes really, really good romance that I like. And now this one is one that's been out for quite a while and just haven't got around to it. It's Serpent and Dove by Shelby Mahurin. And this is about a witch and a witch hunter who get put into an arranged marriage. Sounds like right up my street. One of my favourite tags on Archive of Our Own is arranged marriage. Why? I don't know. I just love that trope of like two people coming together and then having a great marriage. I don't know. I just like it. So this one is about a witch who has to marry a witch hunter, and that is really all I know. So I will be reading it. I know that there have been like mixed feelings on it, shall we say, but I'm going to give it a go. And then I have another bit of non-fiction, and it's All That Remains by Sue Black. Now, Sue Black is a professor of physical anthropology. She taught at Dundee University. Dundee University was the first university in the UK to have that specific course actually offered. And she has been part of sort of UN missions, mass graves. She's done a lot of work on historical graves. She is very interesting, and I'm really looking forward to this. I think if you like Caitlin Doherty and stuff, if you like her books, like Smoke Gets in Your Eyes, I think you'll probably like this. And I really like this Waterstones edition as well. It's very pretty. So then moving to Luke Arnold, who played Long John Silver in Black Sails. And if you haven't watched Black Sails, you should watch Black Sails. It's really good. His novel Last Smile in Sunder City. And this one is a sort of noir, like if you have read The Rivers of London, I think that's probably what I would compare this most to. And I really do like that style, so I will give it a read. And I really like Luke Arnold. Luke Arnold, follow him on Twitter if you don't already. He is very funny and very nice. We like him. So what we have next is one that I should have read already, but it just keeps slipping to the back. And it is With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. I know that I like this because it's about a girl who loves to cook, and yeah, I love to cook, so I will probably really like this character. So I just haven't got around to it. Do you know what? I'm setting this one to the side. It's not going back in the cart. This one is getting read now. You heard it here first, kids. So we won't talk too much about that because maybe we talked about it in my wrap up because I'm going to start reading it today. So then I have We Set the Dark on Fire by Taylor K. Mejia. And this one is a sort of dystopian as well, I believe, where the main character is a student at a school for girls where young women are trained to be perfect wives to distinguished men, but her pedigree is a lie. And then she has to decide, will she give up everything she's striven for in pursuit of free medio and a chance of forbidden love? So I have seen quite a few people say they really enjoyed this. It's apparently another sapphic book, so honestly, I'm on a roll with sapphic books at the moment. And speaking of sapphic books, we have the sequel to The Tiger's Daughter, which is The Phoenix Empress. And I fell in love with these characters in the first book, Shefali and Shizuka. And in this one, they are separated because of what happened to Shefali in the first book. Shefali is dying, her wife is unaware of the oncoming tragedy. She's too busy trying to unite a fractured empire and right the wrongs of her ancestors. My heart was like doo-doo-doo at the first book, so I'm really looking forward to this. And I really like the style that the first book was in, so I'm hoping they continue on with that. So now we have a bit of Courtney Summers and we have All the Rage. Now this one is, I believe, about a girl who's assaulted but doesn't tell anyone, but then there is another assault by the same person, so she chooses to go public with it. Courtney Summers wrote Sadie, which was one of my favourite books of last year. Very powerful book, and I'm looking forward to this. I really like Courtney Summers, so she's one of the few authors who write like contemporary that are like an auto-buy for me. Most of my auto-buy authors are like thrillers or fantasy, but Courtney Summers writes contemporary and she is an auto-buy author for me. So speaking of auto-buy, I have the last book in the Winter Night series, which is The Winter of the Witch by Catherine Arden. I have read the first two in the series. I absolutely love them. I think it's a great series, and I love Vazia, the main character. So I'm obviously not going to talk too much about this because it's the third book in a series and don't want to spoil it, but it is a beautiful Russian inspired fantasy with, I really like the different Russian mythology that it conjures. I love the characters, and yeah, it's just really great. So I would thoroughly recommend this series, and it's at the top of my list to get finished this year. It'll be a nice one for like a cozy winter's night, I believe. So yes, there are a lot of books here. I'm sorry, but now here's one that I started, but I haven't continued with it, which is so unusual for me. So unusual, but it is The Dark Vault by Victoria Schwab, and this is a bind up of the archived and the unbound. I have started it. It's about a library where copies of dead people are kept. I think, how far was I? I mean, I was about 100 pages in, so I had started it, but I don't know why I put it down. I don't know. It just didn't grab me as much maybe as it could have, so that's going underneath the fire on high because I want to finish that and decide whether or not I actually like it or not. So then these two next ones go together, and it is The Caged Queen and The Last Samsara by Kristen Ciccarelli. And these are companion novels set in the same world. One is about Asha, who is a dragon slayer, and one is about Dax, who, yeah, it sounds good. I like them both, and I think covers are stunning. So yeah, there you go in there. I'm really hoping that this will help me organise better. I'm laughing because... So here we are, we have Dread Nation by Justina Ireland, and this is a zombie book set in like the antebellum South, where black girls are trained to basically be bodyguards to white girls. So we'll see how that goes, but it sounds like a really interesting premise, and I've heard that the heroine is awesome. So. Right, what have we got next? I have the next books in the Witchlands series. I have Wind Witch and Blood Witch. I read Wind Witch, really thoroughly enjoyed it, and picked these up pretty much right away. So these are set in what most people have like a very specific witchy power. So yeah, I like it. I think if you like Robin Hobb, David Eddings, that kind of thing, I think you will probably like Susan Dennard. So I would give it a go. Now then I'm going to move on to East by Edith Patel, and this one is based on a myth. I really don't know a lot about it because I bought it on another booktuber's recommendation. I can't even remember who it was, but yeah, I'll get around to it eventually. She says. Now we've got... Let's talk a bit about N.K. Jemisin. So I have two N.K. Jemisin books in the to be read pile. One is Kingdom of Gods, which is the last book in the series, which is Broken Kingdoms series, I believe. And I absolutely loved the first two series. Absolutely loved the first two books. Very different, very not predictable to me. So I really loved that, and it also centres on one of my favourite characters from the previous books. So I'm looking forward to that. And we also have the 5th season, which everyone I think has been getting around to reading the 5th season now, which is great. But this is set in sort of a post-apocalyptic world, and this is the way the world ends for the last time. So yeah, I keep meaning to back it up and I haven't yet, but I will. This is the whole point of this exercise. Right, where are we? What's next? We have The Nightjar by Deborah Hewitt, and this one is about Alice, and she is going on a journey to an alternate London to hone her magical talents. And this is actually written by an author who lives in Glasgow. No, lives in the UK, somewhere south of Glasgow and north of London. So we like that she mentioned Glasgow. So quite a few other people said that they enjoyed that as well, that have this similar taste to me. So we're going to try and get through these next ones as quick as we can, because I've been talking for 20 minutes already. So next up, let's see, we have Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. And one of my friends in real life read this pretty recently and really liked it. So it's about, it's an African-inspired sort of fantasy where they've tried to sort of stamp out magic, and the whiter your hair, the more magic you have. So it sounded really interesting, and it was, as I recall, a pretty sort of popular book on BookTube last year, maybe the year before. It's just that I am very slow. So then I have 2 books by Erin Morgenstern, but the other one is in the bookcase because it's a big hardback. And I have The Night Circus, and I also have The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern to read. But I want to read The Night Circus first because so many people really like this book or really hate this book. So I really just want to get around to it. I've had it for like a year now, and I just keep picking up other things. And then, let's see, speaking of things that I keep putting off, we have The Queens of Innislear by Tessa Grattan, and this is a retelling of King Lear, but they have 3 daughters. King's 3 daughters know that the only chance for resurrecting the realm lies in crowning a new leader, and their father has to sort of pick the heir. So I really like Tessa Grattan's writing. I also have Lady Hotspur waiting to get I also have Lady Hotspur waiting to be read, and I'm looking forward to it. Again, I think this is a nice cozy night read. So moving swiftly on, we have Shatter Me by Tahira Mafi. I don't really need to talk about this much. It's a dystopian. I really just picked it up because so many people either really love it or really hate it, and it seemed like something that would be quite quick to read. I don't hold out a huge amount of hope. So moving on, I have the sequel to Girls of Paper and Fire, Girls of Storm and Shadow. I really liked Girls of Paper and Fire. Sapphic book set in a sort of Asian, Chinese inspired world where there are different castes, the top being like demons, the second being like part human, part demon, and the lowest being complete human. And in the first novel, our protagonist gets chosen to be a concubine for the demon emperor. She doesn't want to be the concubine, and there is quite a bit of discussion about like sexual assault and things, so it's not a light book to read, but it is a very good book. And I have the sequel, so that I am holding out some significant hope for, because I really liked the first one. So I'm going to then quickly talk about, I think this is the last bit of non-fiction that I've got physically to read, and it's No Man Knows My History of the Life of Joseph Smith. I am super interested in how religions start and religions spread, and Mormonism is one of, if not the newest major religion, so I really wanted to read about the founder, because we have like contemporary accounts, we have other things. It's not like with some other founders of religion where it was like thousands of years ago and you might be relying on second-hand accounts and stuff. So I wanted to read this, and the last podcast on the left did like a 6-part series on Mormonism, and that was one of the sources that you used, which is why I picked it up, because I'm just really interested in the whole shebang, really. So all that's left is fiction. So I have here The Daughters of Nri by Renee K. Amayo. And this is about two goddesses, twin goddesses, who are separated at birth. One is brought up as like a princess, and one is brought up, let's see, in a small village. So they don't know the other exists as far as I know, and I really like this. I love the cover as well. I love the with the foil on their hair ornaments. I just really think that's pretty. And then I've not got that many left to go, I promise. So next we have The Queen's Rising by Rebecca Ross. This is basically about a girl who she has to show talent with one of the 5 passions, and she really struggles to do that, blah blah blah. It's a fantasy novel. It sounded good. I really love anything with queen in the title. I love books about queens. Just do. And then we have, this has been sitting on the shelf for a little while, and I really do want to get round to this because it's meant to be really good. Black Leopard Red Wolf by Marlon James, and this is an African inspired kind of grimdark fantasy, I believe. It is blurbed by Neil Gaiman, and Neil Gaiman also mentions Angela Carter's writing in relation to this. I love Neil Gaiman, I love Angela Carter, so I'm hoping I will really like that. I've heard mixed reviews, so we'll see. Now, these are all books that I have really no expectations for, because I really just bought them off the back of either the cover looking really cute or another booktuber said they liked it. So we have The Last Magician by Lisa Maxwell, and this is set in modern day New York, and I don't know, it kind of reminds me a little bit of The Magicians, so I'm hoping it'll be like The Magicians because I like The Magicians. So that goes in here. If you love The Magicians though, read An Unkindness of Magicians by Kat Howard. That is amazing. I recommend that 100%. So then we have a bit of more fantasy YA. We have Spin the Dawn by Elizabeth Lim, and this one is basically a gifted tailor in disguise, 3 magic dresses, the competition of a lifetime, and she is going for the job of imperial tailor. I am a bit of a sewist myself. I do my best to make historically accurate clothing, so that really sounded good to me. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 6 left, not many. So I have Roar here by Cara McCormack, another fantasy. And this one is about a girl called Aurora who's a princess. She's meant to have these certain powers, but she doesn't. And everything's going to sort of flow on from there. I really liked the cover of this one. And a couple of different booktubers mentioned it and said that it was really good, so I picked it up. Now, let's see. This is The Heart of Betrayal. So this isn't the first one. The first one in this series is A Kiss of Deception, but I have that in hardback and it's on my shelf, so that this stands in for the entire series by Mary E. Pearson. This seems to be like a booktube YA classic, which is why I picked it up. Kind of like Shatter Me in that a lot of people have read it and enjoyed it. So now, let's see what we go for next. Let's talk about Crown of Feathers. I really love this illustration. I love YA fantasy that's like set in like Asian inspired settings. I love it. So this one is about a girl who basically is a phoenix rider, and I think it's 2 sisters that are going to be sort of fighting. I had a sister once, I promised her the throne would not come between us, but it is a fact of life that one must kill or be killed, rule or be ruled. Sometimes the title of queen is given, sometimes it must be taken. So, it's right up my street. Now, I also here have Library of the Unwritten by A.J. Hackworth, and this is every book left unfinished by its author is filed away in the unwritten wing and neutral space in hell, presided over by Claire, its head librarian. So this is about Claire and the Hell Library and a quest. And I really like the cover as well, as you can see. We're getting there. I'm not going to have any space left, but we're getting there. Now, I picked up Radiance by Catherine M. Valenti. This is a kind of like space opera, metropolis, sort of Art Nouveau sci-fi. And I just really like Catherine M. Valenti. I read Deathless and I loved it, which is why I picked that up. I didn't really know anything about it, but Deathless, there are lines from Deathless that still stick in my head like 6 months after reading it. So, and you'll be glad to know this is the last one, and it's The Dirty South by John Connolly. This is the latest Charlie Parker book, but it's actually a prequel. It is set when Charlie Parker is just becoming a private detective, witness the dawning of a conscience, the birth of a hunter, the becoming of Charlie Parker. So I'm so looking forward to that because I love Charlie Parker books. They are my favourite thrillers of all time, and I really love John Connolly's writing. So that is everything that is in my TBR cart. I'm going to get some little magnets for it, I think. Some little magnets, some tamed ones or something. So yeah, I'm going to try and make my way through this lot. Let's see how I get on. I hope everyone's keeping well, staying safe, wear a mask. Love you. Bye!